Welcome to the home of Project Dream Mastery. Here at PDM, we are challenging the status quo of what it means to follow your dreams and how to unlock the power those dreams will bring to your life. The show experience will be unscripted, authentic, and transparent. So now, sit back, relax, and get inspired with your hosts, Lucas Johnson and Patryk Labuzek.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Project Dream Mastery Show. My name is Lucas P. Johnson, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am one of the two hosts here at PDM. And the other man behind the mic, and also one of my best friends, business partners, co-founders of PDM, and co-host for the PDM show, Patryk Labuzek. Can I mention he is based out of Ireland and was born in Poland? How cool is that? With that said, Patty, how are you doing? You ready for the third episode, man?
I am so ready. So ready. There's so much great content. I felt the last 2 episodes were great. This one's going to be very deep. I have a feeling just the subject itself. And I cannot wait to get started.
Patty, the best part about this show is it is completely unscripted. And most of the stuff that we bring up is kind of these thoughts and we bring out these thoughts that's come out of nowhere. And that's what we put on the show. We put the stuff that we think is going to be valuable to you, but also the memories and the things that have helped us become who we are. And I think that's really essential to how we have become to follow our own dreams and how we help defy our own expectations. I mean, that's just there's so much of the show, and there's so much love that we put into it, and so much heart. I mean, all right, as you've seen in the last two, I mean, Patty and I have been really kind of just putting it out there for you, and that's what we want on the show. We want to be authentic with you. So, Patty, it's great to hear that you're pumped for this show, because I am as well. I think it's going to be deep, and it's going to bring us into our topic for this show today. We will be focusing on half the battle is just showing up. So if you've made it this far, you've already made it to the show. You showed up. You are here. You are ready for the next episode in Project Dream Mastery. It's going to be epic. So, Patty, as I have done in the last 2 episodes, I'd like to ask you, what do you think that this topic is focusing on? What does it mean to you?
It means going out of your comfort zones to a very large scale. We like to be comfy, or we like to feel comfortable in situations. We don't like talking about things that make us feel uncomfortable. And it's all about focus around being comfortable. Going out of your comfort zone is very important to taking that step forward. Because only then can we learn, only then can we develop, only then can we meet new people and, take on board new experiences.
That was deep. I think that we're already off to a great start. I knew that this show was going to, or this episode at least was going to kind of go into the nitty gritty, and we weren't going to go. We planned on going into the weeds. I mean, we planned on talking about some serious stuff on this one. And most of the time, like I said in the last episode, it's about putting a note on the wall, on the dream topic wall. The dream wall. It's just a white wall with the stickers on it. That's pretty postcards and my little sticky notes. But the one thing you said in the last episode too was things are not as beautiful as you always think.
Yeah.
And I think that's really applicable to this show too, is half the battle is just showing up. I mean, do you know how many times people, and I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, so I'm not going to go into detail here, but do you know how many times people have showed up to something and we're so anxious and we're so like emotional just to be there? Do you know how hard it was for them to actually get there, to get to that function or that event or to get on that call? Or, sometimes you're on a video chat like we're doing now. You know how difficult it was for those people. sometimes in life we give ourselves too much credit, and sometimes we don't. For those people, and if you're listening right now and you're one of those folks that, maybe you suffer from anxiety, or maybe you have something else going on in your life that's pushing you and not allowing you to be as comfortable as you would like. I mean, it's okay. We're here to say, first off, that everything happens for a reason. And, going back to what he said in last episode, things are not always as beautiful as you always think. And I can relate. I understand. Sometimes I used to give speeches back in high school. And even though I'm an extrovert and I love having a talk and having a conversation with someone in public, getting up in front of 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, or so forth. And I got stories to go on in that too. We'll talk about that later on in these episodes, but anxiety is real. Sometimes it feels like you're having a heart attack while you're up on stage with 300 or 400 people and you can't talk. You can't even get a lick out of your mouth. You can't say a thing. So I just want to say that if you're on this and you're listening right now, I want to give you an applause, because this show is going to be really great. It's going to help you hopefully understand how this relates to everyone's life. Patty, have you ever been in a situation where you've had something like that happen?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that right there, Lucas, while you were talking. And honestly, I can't recall a situation where I had an anxiety attack, because it's just not me. And there's two sides to this. One side is before I became the person that I am now. The old Paddy would be shy. He would be a very introverted person. And I wouldn't do things outside of my comfort zone. Therefore, even when it came to college and giving presentations, I wasn't the one giving them. I wasn't the one talking to people, because I knew I'm not great at it. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I would be anxious. Therefore, one side of this is that I've never given myself, not the opportunity, but I've never gotten to the point where I had to be anxious about anything. And then second part is, after I started traveling and learning and taking everything aboard and becoming the better version of myself, I don't get anxious about the things that even we're doing here. And, previously I wouldn't do that. Now I don't mind, because, I want to show who I am, the real me. So if somebody doesn't like it, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to be anxious about that. Therefore,
you heard it here first, folks.
Therefore, everything that I've learned going through our experience in Australia and then China and my travels around Europe and travels in general is that it's simple. I don't care. And because of that, I'm not anxious.
Yeah, no, I can relate. I don't have those issues too often. I mean, I've only had them occasionally, and even then I've been able to work through them. I don't really suffer from anxiety. I do occasionally, but it's mostly self-induced. I also have asthma, so sometimes my breathing acts up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, can't breathe. So that's self-imposed. But I was just curious. I mean, that's not. It relates back to half the battle showing up, but I just was curious what your thoughts were on it, because I know I have some really good friends here in the States that they suffer from anxiety, and growing up, I wasn't really too familiar with that. I mean, I grew up in a bubble. I grew up in a small community. I mean, yes, maybe a little bit larger, maybe 50,000 folks or 60,000 folks, but it wasn't very large in comparison to some of these major cities. So I never really experienced what that true anxiety felt like. Yes, I've been in front of a few hundred people. I've had the experience being on TV. I've had that kind of stuff. And even then it was really crazy to really think about that. But Patty, you were saying that, how much you've changed over the years. And one thing I think of is when we were vlogging in public, when we would vlog every single day when we were in Australia, when we would go out and I'd give the daily vlog, and, I had my co-host there, Patryk, Labuzek, and Eric. And, it was really crazy, because that's something I never did, is coming out of my comfort zone.
That's exactly it, Lucas. Now that I'm thinking back to it, outbursts of being so spontaneous and doing things that you love, and just sometimes we're just stupid about the things that we're saying, but that was part of having fun and just having a good time. And that was us going out of the comfort zone, taking out the camera, saying stupid things, and people watching us. Like, it was numerous times that, we've seen in the background in our phones that, people were watching us.
Oh, especially when we were editing those.
Exactly. And they were curious what is going on. And, it's those experiences, at least for me as well, the part when we started vlogging for fun, I went out of my comfort zone and pushed me out to experience new things, and I've learned, and it shaped the person that I am currently now in this very second, which is not going to be the same person after this conversation. So we're constantly evolving, and it's important that we do constantly evolve, that we become better versions of ourselves, and it's not something that happens from month to month. It's really, I think, something that happens from minute to minute, second to second. We become, I'm not saying that our character becomes different, but we evolve in a certain way. The thoughts that are being induced, they all have an effect on us. So, me right now is different than me after the conversation, after this show.
So what are you saying, Patty? You're not coming back? No, I'm kidding. Patty and I have had some really deep chats, and I think that's really great. What you're saying is we've had so many deep chats over the last 2 years that every time I talk to Patryk, I have an opportunity to learn something about myself and also something about Patryk. And I think really it creates a better friendship because when you can trust someone and you can really open up and have that relationship with someone where, okay, hey, say for example, my girlfriend, she, I don't have one, but if I did, if maybe I was having problems with them, I feel comfortable enough to go and talk to Patryk about it and say, hey, man, this is what's going on. Those relationships that you build and, understanding how much you change over time had really kind of made me realize how important having a good circle is. And so far I didn't always have a great circle. I think our circle in Australia was great. I think my circle now in the States is pretty damn good. Sometimes I don't always know. I'm still trying to figure out, everything here in Charlotte because I'm new to Charlotte. I moved here in September of 2019. So I'm rather new to this area, but going back to, what you're saying is just, again, going to the topic, half the battle showing up. And if you have that opportunity to change and become better from every conversation and every lesson that you learn from someone, that's just one part of showing up. Now, applying that to your everyday life, that's the second part. It's crazy that, I was probably 2 years or 3 years of just really not exercising. I mean, when I was in Australia with you, Patty, I was working out every day. I was getting
something like that. Yeah.
Came back for my senior year of college and university, and I don't think I did anything. I went up to like 270 pounds, man. I was close to maybe a little less than that, but I was close to 270 pounds. That's the largest I've ever been in my life. And for me, it took a toll. I couldn't run to save my life. I couldn't play sports. I was out of breath walking up the steps. I couldn't walk to class because my feet would hurt. And then all of a sudden, my brother said something to me. And this is how this topic actually came to life. Is I was in DC right before COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. So that would have been, I think we declared it a pandemic here. We kind of started taking action in March. I was there probably like end of April, or not end of April, end of February. So I was in District of Columbia, DC, and end of February. And my brother said something about how he was training for an Ironman. And for y'all that don't know what an Ironman is, it's pretty damn impressive. I don't even know the exact details to it, but it's probably like 100 miles, swimming, biking, running, like all this stuff in one. And my brother says to me, he goes, I really never want to do this. I go, so why are you doing it? Because dude, half the battle is just showing up. So you know what? I decided to go down with him and he said, hey, you want to come work out with me? it didn't really hit me until I got down to that gym. He said, again, half the battle is just showing up, dude. You going to come or not? If you don't get down here, you don't put your clothes on, then you're never going to do it. So if you just show up and you're there, if I show up at the gym, I'm not going to just sit at the gym. I'm going to do something. I'm going to want to get on that treadmill. I'm going to want to pick up that weight and lift some weight, push that weight up, put it down, pick things up, put it down. That's what was so inspiring to me. And that's what I thought could be applicable to this show is if you just show up.
Just to break it in there, this applies to all aspects of our lives. Analyzing what you said there, I think that was part of our Australian experience, which greatly shaped us in many ways. And half the battle is just showing up. Half the battle was booking a ticket, a flight to the other side of the world by yourself, just showing up at the airport in Sydney without accommodation planned.
The Patty
showing up.
Talk about just Patty. I mean,
going to the beach, meeting strangers from all around the world, USA, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Portugal,
every part of the world, basically.
You name it. That was,
Sweden, Switzerland.
Yeah, Sweden, Norway, all those countries. All those great countries, all those different people, different cultures colliding and, making that first step of just showing up there, being curious to meet other people. And look, Goon Squad formed, right? Out of just a few, and we became, just a great squad, And
reunions every year except 2020 because we need Control Alt Delete apparently.
Well, okay, let's agree this year doesn't exist.
Dude, we were planning on going to Costa Rica this year, and right. Patty, it was going to be epic because we all have adult jobs now. And again, this Project Dream Mastery is something that we are really passionate about, but this is also something that is our dream. So take that for what it's worth. We still have adult jobs. We're still working and building and learning along the way. So just before we continue on with our topic, I want you to know that we are still fully employed, full-time workers. And this is something that we do on the side. And if it ever grows to be something that, we could take and, run with, okay, awesome. But this right now is to help you become better, learn something from it and help us learn along the way too. Because these conversations, again, like Patty, what you were saying earlier, every time I hear something out of your mouth is me analyzing and thinking about how that might help me in my future and how I can help you and how we can grow our friendship.
I'm just going to relate this to our previous show, putting homework on yourself. One of the homeworks that I put on myself is taking in those valuable conversations and, just becoming a better version of myself. So, this kind of links, again, this show to the previous one.
I think we're going to find, and again, this is episode 3. I think we're going to find that all of these shows link to 3 things. And can I say them, Patty? Because I think you already know what they are.
Go ahead, Lucas. You're more than welcome to.
Dream big, or defy expectations, dream big, and love deeply. I think those 3 things are going to be applicable to every episode that we put together. Do you agree, Patty?
Completely.
Because every single episode these last 3 episodes, which isn't many, but I think those 3 have really come together to help us form better relationships, better friendships. They've helped us become more determined on what our future has to offer, what we have to offer. It helped us build confidence in who we are. I mean, I love myself a lot more now that I started off with just showing up. I get up every single day now, and I started a nutrition plan. What did I say last week? I think I started on Monday.
Yeah.
And today is Sunday. So I started it about 6 or 7 days ago, 6 days, and I'm down 5 pounds. And before that, I started training for a half marathon. And man, every single morning I would get up and I'd say, half the battle showing up, Lucas, put your running shoes on, stretch. Okay. If you stretch, then you're going to want to run. Then you start running and you're like, oh, 1 mile. All right, Lucas. All right. We can be done after 1 mile. Plan says we got to do 30 minutes. All right. I'll do 30 minutes. Do the 30 minutes. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, Lucas, I'm sorry, I'm talking about myself in third person, but this is me thinking through my head is, Lucas, you've already done 3 miles, man. Why don't you get 4? You already showed up. You're already out here. You're already breaking a sweat. Why don't you do more? Patty, how many times have you kind of you showed up and you're like, wow, I can drink another beer, or I can do, you're already here. Why don't you just have some fun? Why don't you let go? And that's just showing up. How many times has that been applicable to you?
More than I can count. I think it's part of our lives, and all the things that are happening, whether that's what you were saying, just showing up to the pub for a drink, that leads to having good time, connecting with your friends, and hearing their stories, their experiences, all those crazy things at times, as usual in the pub. But then again, this applies to, like you mentioned, fitness. I don't run myself, but I'm a martial arts instructor, so it's very important for me to show up to my trainings, and that's have the battle fought. We do sparring, and as far as I remember, maybe going 5 years back, and part of my black belt exam was trying to survive a 25-minute round. Now, what I mean by that, a 25-minute fight, that's each round takes 2 minutes. So 25 times 2, you have 50 minutes. That's an immense pressure on your body. It crushes you. You're exhausted. You can't walk. You can't think. But the one thing that you have to focus on is you're going to get through this. It didn't matter if you win the fight. It didn't matter if you collapse. What mattered was coming back up. And how the battle fought was just showing up. And that was important. That's what shapes all of us. Do you have anything to add to that, Lucas?
Yeah. So one thing, if you are watching the video right now, I really think this is cool. Is Patty actually put up a photo behind him, and where is that? I know that's in New Zealand. That is which mountain?
Yeah, the thing is, I always try to create my own content. I'm a computer scientist right now. I'm an automation engineer. I think with numbers most of the time, but being creative and doing different things makes my head come together, and I have those great ideas. At least I think they're great because I love them. I'm passionate about things, and one of the small tiny projects for my blog I decided to do was, I'm trying to inspire people. I'm trying to motivate them to see the world, to make them realize it's not as expensive. You don't need to be a millionaire to go and see another country. And it's all relatively cheap if you put your mind to it, and you can do anything. And I decided that part of my blog, not just writing about the experience and motivating people, is that I want to put on some of my pictures that I always use, with some nice inspiring quotes that inspire me. And so what you can see in the background is one of the pictures that I took, as you mentioned, in New Zealand. And this was in the Tongariro National Park. If you remember, Lucas, we were hoping to climb a mountain, do a alpine hike, until we got notified that there's an avalanche warning.
Also, no, Patty and I did not have any winter clothes. Okay, so we were in Australia, and first off, I didn't know that I was going to be there for winter. I thought I was going to be there for summer because, well, I left and it was our winter, so I figured it was going to be their summer. But I ended up staying, and it was, as you can see in the background, there's a lot of snow. So all we had were sweatshirts. And I said to Patryk, I go, hey, man, I don't think I want to do this. He goes, well, man, I got this. And he goes, so we were going to do it because, I wasn't going to leave him to do it by himself. That's not safe. They're saying that you need these spiked things on your feet and all these snowshoes. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're so unprepared for this, Patty. We are going to die. And then within 5 minutes, we get a notification saying, yes, there's a potential avalanche warning. We advise that the park, is going to be closing, and we advise that all folks that are on the mountain to come down. I'm thinking, all right, well, there we go. That's a sign. Let's go.
But that didn't ruin our plans. We decided to try our best and go to a ski resort, which is just on the mountain that you see there, and that's where the picture was taken. And I really like this picture. It's what's it called? Imagine no limitation on what you can be, have, or be.
How applicable is that to what we are talking about today? Half the battle is just showing up. Patty and I were going to hike a mountain that was possibly going to have an avalanche. And
let's underline it was an alpine mountain, not your average hill.
No. And I was never really big into hiking either. So going back to this is if you're showing up and you put on this stuff and you say you're going to do it, well, you're going to do it. I mean, even in Ireland, when we did your little hill, when we were in Ireland, what was it that we hiked? It's actually pretty hard. What was it?
We heard of in the Glendalough National Park with the lakes and hike. Yeah.
So we hiked that, and I was never. I mean, I like hiking, but I'm more into it now. Now that I actually enjoy it and I'm fit and I'm not 270 pounds and can't walk. I really enjoyed it. And I want to bring it back here to, because there's a lot of great stuff right there, Patty. I mean, I hope that if you're listening right now, you had a chance to see that Patty was doing a humble brag there, which I told him after the last episode. Come on, man, you got to get your stuff. You got to tell everyone because you got really amazing things to offer. And, there's a lot of great things, and going back, it's just showing up prepared. And, we are never prepared for these shows. We just speak what's on our heart and what makes sense for these episodes. And we hope that it's applicable to you, because as we're re-listening to these, we are like, wow, okay, yeah.
It's definitely applicable to us. That makes us think like we're humans. We're just like you, and we have our own experiences. And if this what we're saying helps us to think about different things, it helps us to develop, then we're more than sure that help you.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of things that we still need to talk about here, and we want to go deep. So Patty, let's start to focus in on half the battle is just showing up. I know for me, I've had a lot of things and a lot of times where I've questioned where I see myself, what I want to do with my life, what I see for my future. If my girlfriend for the time is the one I want to marry, all these things. When I'm at the bar, do I want to drink another beer? I mean, these are all things that I really think that can come along with this topic is if you give yourself the opportunity to really kind of let yourself hone in on what makes you happy and really brings you to your breaking point per se, you can kind of find what you really want in your life. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been in a spot where I'm just like, hell, I thought I wanted to work this particular thing, or I wanted to do that, or I wanted to go for a run, but really I wanted to go hang out with my family. I showed up and I did that. But in reality, I need to show up for something completely different. So this show is about showing up. And sometimes that is not always for the thing you think it is or it should be. One time I decided to, this is really hard for me to talk about. My Pat passed away when I was 14 or 15, and I was in my sophomore year of high school. My Pat passed away, and I thought the most important thing for me was to stay and play football and stay and practice so I didn't lose my spot. I never knew that I could leave and my coach would be completely understanding of that. It's just not something that went through my head. I've played football since I was a wee little lad, and I've always been I've been dedicated to it. I would always show up no matter what whatever it was. If I was late, I'd still show up. It really comes down to making that decision. And I made the wrong one. I wasn't there for my pap's funeral. I wasn't able to make that decision. Even when my folks said, "Oh, you need to go to this," I said, "Hey, if I leave, I'm not going to be able to secure this position, or I'm not going to be able to do this or that." I don't even remember what it was. But the one thing I remember from that time, Patty, is that I didn't show up for the right thing. And we don't always make the right choices. So don't get down on yourself, because you're the only one that can live with that decision. And you have to know that it was for the right reason. For me, I know that I made the wrong one, but let me say that I've learned from it. Again, going back to what you've learned, I've learned that I should have been there. I now know that I need to show up for what actually really matters: faith, family, friends. Those are the three things that are above all. Those are the things that matter to me and what I will show up for. So Patty, I'm gonna take a step back and let you simmer and add value to anything that you would like in this particular topic, because I know that was pretty deep for me, but that's the point of the show.
Yeah, very deep. It's difficult to add anything to that because, our listeners will start to see that we have very similar views on a lot of things. And, I completely agree with every word that you said right there. So, but what I've learned from your comment right there is that it takes courage to admit that sometimes you made the wrong move. Sometimes you take that step that it's just, it's not right. But what's important to realize is that it's a learning process. And just because you did that, you made that certain move, which wasn't the right one, you're not going to make the same mistake again. And that's very important. That's crucial for each one of us, whatever the situation may be, to just summarize what we did and analyze whether this was the right choice, whether this was the right move, whether, we should rethink certain things that we do in our lives.
I definitely have had a lot of time to think that one through. And I had really one thing in my life at that time that really mattered to me. I mean, before that I would go to youth group all the time. Like I was so dedicated to church and all this stuff. And growing up, that was just kind of the way I lived, and I had some really great friends there. But that moment where I chose a sport, something that wasn't going to be forever, over, my pap's funeral, my entire family was there, by the way. I was the only one to stay back, and I stayed at my other grandparents, I believe, or one of my friends, one of the two. It was epic for me to realize it's now 2020. That happened, I don't even know, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Wow. 10 years ago. And I'm now just really admitting that to anyone. I mean, that's what you're getting here. Project Dream Mastery, again, is being authentic with you, and again, mastering your dreams. And one thing I learned from that is that you have to pick the right things to show up for. Don't just show up for something because you think it's going to make you look good, or it's the right thing to do. If your family member is going to the hospital to get an elective surgery, and you have this other function that you were priorly said you were going to attend, say, for example, a black tie, or, a charity, something, or, one of those events, event that you already had a prior commitment to, choose the family member, choose that thing that's going to, what if something didn't go right? What if something bad happened in that elective surgery? That is what you're going to have to live with, and know that, you made the decision. So take it from me. It's something that I learned very, very young in my days, and I've definitely taken an opportunity to reflect on that, and I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful for that, because now most of the time choose the right thing to show up for.
Yeah, that's it, Lucas. It's learning on your mistakes, and it's simple as that, really. even though it's not simple in its essence.
No, that is, Patty. That's exactly it. It is not simple, or it is not as simple in its essence. You have to really think about what matters to you. I mean, that's what I'm gonna challenge you. I know on each of the shows I've given you a challenge. The last one was to go out and learn something new. In today's episode, I challenge you to just show up for something. Show up for something that means something to you. Show up and, I know COVID-19 is occurring right now. As you're listening to this, you're probably still in shelter in place, or, you're slowly working your way into the real world again. But show up for the people that are there for you. Really weed out the people that aren't. Show up for the family members, the friends that have always been there for you. There's 5 or 6 people from high school. There's 5 or 6 people from college. Send them a message. Say, hey man, I'm grateful for you. Hey girl, I'm grateful to have you in my life. Or, I just let them know that you're there for them. And that right now, especially in these times, can be very powerful and have such an impact on someone's life. Because again, pivoting back to one of the other lessons that you learned in our last lesson is things are not always as beautiful as you think they are. So shoot those people a message. That's my challenge to you. Shoot them a message. Say, hey, just checking in on you. How are you? And see how much of an impact that'll have. Because even though it may not have an impact on you necessarily, it's going to have a tremendous impact on those people around you.
That's
so,
right.
Patty, I think that probably a good, good point to wrap up.
That's a great point to wrap up. Yeah, I agree.
Do you have anything else
I don't think we have anything to add at this stage. Not that I can think of on top of my head right now.
All right, Patty. I think that there's going to be a lot of great content here coming up. Patty's got some really great ideas for show topics here. Patty will be taking over as the host for those shows, and it's going to be super exciting to see what's on his mind and what he has in his back there that's simmering and brewing and really wants you to have the opportunity to take away and learn from Project Dream Mastery. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the show and kind of just talk about what we have discussed for today. First off, half the battle is just showing up. Going back to the last lesson, you stop learning because no one is telling you that you have homework. Go out and learn. Do something. Make something of every situation. Third, things are not as beautiful as you always think. Don't judge someone before you give them the opportunity to kind of express who they are and understand their story. Maybe they're just showing up. Maybe they have something that's going on in their life that's making impact on their day to day. And they're just happy to be there right now because someone told them they had to be there. They showed up because someone said, you have to be here. And fourth, I think we're in 4. Make sure that you show up for the right thing. Learn from your previous mistakes to make the best possible future for yourself and not have to live with the regret of not being there for someone that you actually care about. And last but not least, please go take the challenge today and make sure that you are following up with someone that matters to you. There's 5 or 6 people from high school, there's 5 or 6 people from college, or there's 5 or 6 people from work that really have made an impact on your life. Follow up with them right now because COVID-19 is really playing a toll on everyone in the shelter in place and staying at home. So just go out and check on them. Showing up for them through a message could really make an impact on their life. So with that said, make sure that you go and you subscribe to our show so that you have instant access to our next episodes and beyond, because we have some epic content here at Project Dream Mastery. We challenge you to become the best version you can be, defy expectations, dream big, love deeply. And with that said, Patty, any last words for our amazing listeners?
Keep it real.
Keep it real. You heard it here first, folks. All right. With that said, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.